Hello everybody. In this video, we will try to talk about Ashwini Nakshatra further. So Ashwini is the first Nakshatra. So there is an idea of creation present in this Nakshatra, and also they have a tendency of being unique. So uniqueness you can always associate with Ashwini Nakshatra because it's a first Nakshatra. So it's a first of its kind of things can be done by this energy. Even Ashwini Nakshatra people, they like to think that they have some special gifts which others do not possess. They like to think that they are unique. They like to do something which is first of its kind. So the new trends, right, the new happenings can be associated with this nakshatra. The new trends and new happenings, right? Because creation is all about that. It's new, completely brand new, kind of, right? So, another important thing, they are not the show off types, right? So, they are not show off types. You may think they like to think they are unique, then you may think they want to show off that, right? It's not the case. They like to think they are unique, they want to do unique things, they like to be associated with new happenings, right? That is very good. But at the same time, they are not the show off types, right? So they have a thing about being self-sufficient and don't like to be dependent on others. It's a very good thing, right? They don't like to be dependent on others. They have that independent nature. And there is a kind of lot of resources energy associated with this nakshatra. So the natives under Ashwini Nakshatra influence always seem to come up with the required resources, right? Even under the most adverse circumstances, right? And even the nature allows it. Even they get a kind of luck. So it happens like a magic. Getting some resources for them, it happens like a magic also, right? It's a resourceful nakshatra, you can say. So resourceful and not show of types. Also uniqueness, new trends, new happenings, and independent nature. So the uniqueness can only happen, the new trends or new happenings can only happen when something is independent. So they are competent and sincere about whatever they try to do. So even you may observe, they may lack the discipline and endurance required to achieve some perfection, but still, because in the previous video we understand that Ashwini types basically they don't have endurance. The Ashwini energy does not have endurance. If the other planets in the horoscope allows, then it's okay. But Ashwini does not have endurance. So if a person under heavy influence of Ashwini has some endurance, let us say, then that endurance is actually coming from other planetary positions because of other nakshatras, not because of Ashwini. Ashwini has no endurance. It's only they like to be, the short-term things. They are quickest, right? The concept of patience is not present here. The endurance is not present here. So that is where the perfection, right? The perfection cannot be achieved most of the times, because they just want that thing and they move on the quickest. So the perfection cannot be achieved quickly. So, but if the other planetary positions are giving them some proper endurance, then yes, they can become perfect in some skill, right? It is near perfectionists they can become if other planetary positions allow. So Ashwini natives who have a lot of endurance are very, very successful, you can say, because Ashwini has a lot of skills, a lot of leadership, courage, whatever we talked about, the vitality, the youthfulness, the power, swiftness of approach, the competentness, the leadershipness, the leadership quality, so many things we discussed. So, but they are lacking that endurance. If endurance is given by other planets, then yes, they can be very, very successful at whatever they choose to do. Now, our ancient Vedic seers saw or observed this nakshatra as an active nakshatra, as very, very active. You can clearly understand the swiftness of approach it has, clearly giving a sense of activeness, right? So it is the beginning of so many things. It is the beginning. So beginning itself is nothing but taking initiative itself is very active, right? It's an active thing. So whatever is happening in the universe, there is a kind of initiation, there is a kind of creation, right? There is a kind of urge to do something, that kind of, right, creative capabilities, right, that itself is showing this kind of beginning approach, the activeness approach. Active is the word that we can use here, right? So active, spontaneous, and also a uniqueness, and resourceful, right? And not show off types, straightforwardness. These are all the words we can use. So business nakshatra, another one. I want to say it's a business nakshatra. So what is the creative spark, right, for a businessman? The creative spark of a businessman comes from his initiatives. So it's a very good nakshatra for initiatives. Doing any kind of business requires a lot of initiative, right? And there is no nakshatra with more initiative than Ashwini in the whole 27 nakshatras. So it automatically gets connected to all kinds of business activities on the material as well as the mental plane, or you can say astral plane. So business just doesn't mean this selling and buying. Business is a kind of exchange. It is related to interaction and exchange, right? So any kind of interaction and exchange, even in the meditation it happens. In different planes it happens, not only on the material plane. In the material plane you can observe it as selling and buying. And that initiative, taking initiative is the main, the root of any kind of business. Even you talk about the spiritual things, even you talk about the astral plane kind of stuff, whatever you talk about, that kind of business, that kind of interaction and exchange, taking initiatives is very much present in this particular nakshatra's energy. And it's a male nakshatra. Basically Mars is the lord of this Aries, and also Ketu, it's a Ketu nakshatra. So totally it's a first nakshatra even more, and one is always associated with generally males, and then one is also associated with sun, and sun exalts in Ashwini Nakshatra, uh, right? So it's a male nature is so much of maleness is present in this nakshatra. So another energy you can associate with this nakshatra is constant movement, as we discussed in our previous video. So maleness is very much associated with this because continuous movement, the constant movement, the first being a first nakshatra, uh, and also it has one is always associated with sun. One is sun because sun is at the center of the our solar system, and also it is the uh, right, it is the first one. Sun is sun and one, right? They're very much correlated energies, and even more Mars is associated with this nakshatra because Aries is the sign of Mars, and Ashwini lies in Aries. And then constant movement, that kind of energy, the leadership. So all these things, right, are very much prominent in this nakshatra. So the constant movement, when you say constant movement, the birds, you can also associate birds with this particular nakshatra because birds, a lot of birds have that constant movement approach, right? And Ashwini Nakshatra lies in the Aries from 0 degrees to 13.20 degrees. So every pada is of 3.20 degrees. So every nakshatra has 4 padas. So if you talk about the Ashwini Nakshatra first pada, it's 0 degrees to 3.20 degrees. And then a first pada, so whenever a planet is present in first pada of Ashwini, it falls in the Aries Navamsha. In the Navamsha chart, you can see that planet is falling in the Aries sign. And if a planet is present in Ashwini Nakshatra second pada, then you can see the planet is present in the Taurus in the Navamsha chart. Now, let's talk about the first pada of Ashwini Nakshatra. So the first pada, 0 degrees to 3.20 degrees, Aries Navamsha. So there's a lot of Martian qualities associated with this, right? The Mars, because Aries, in the Aries is the sign of Mars, and again, even more in the Navamsha, also the first pada of Ashwini shows Aries. So double Mars effect, and Ketu. See, when a person has a lot of Mars with Ketu, right? Ketu is also a kind of Martian energy. There is a saying called Kujavat Ketu, right? So this Ketu's behavior is similar to Mars, because similar to Mars in the sense a kind of undirectionalness is associated with Ketu, but Ketu is a Gnana Karaka, right? That we should not forget. But you can say Ketu's qualities match with Mars, right, to an extent. And what happens here? It's Ashwini first pada. Aries is basically a fiery sign, and here Pisces is a watery sign. So there's a transition between Pisces and Aries, and that particular transition is a kind of water to fire transition, is a kind of painful transition. Painful. It's a painful transformation also, you can say. And Ashwini first pada has some pain associated with it. A lot of Martian energy, a lot of Ketu-ness. So there is a sense of undirectional behavior leading to some kind of pain, right? So such a sense is always observed because Ashwini first pada is a Gandanta point. The Gandanta point is the point at the transition of fieriness to wateriness, or the wateriness to fieriness, you can say generally, because wateriness to fieriness because Pisces to Aries, it's water to fire transition, and even Cancer to Leo, it's a water to fire transition, and then Scorpio to Sagittarius, it's also a water to fire transition. So at the edges or at the junction of this two signs, the water to fire, right? At that junction, you can always observe a Gandanta, a pain. Now, lot of Mars and Ketu. Ketu is Jnanakaraka, right? And just imagine somebody is given lot of Martianness, the aggressiveness or the kind of energy pumpingness, right? Continuous energy pumping happening, right? And also a kind of the nature is to achieve more perfection, but at the same time the Martian pumping is not allowing the person to stick on to one thing, lacking endurance. So too much of Martianness, it's giving lot of courage there, right? And the person can be physically active. So it is the first Nakshatra's first pada. The kind of initiativeness is amazing here, right? That's what we can say. And the negativeness is a Gandanta thing. Loads and loads of karmic baggage is associated here, right? So to an extent, it's a kind of, if you sense that energy, double Mars and Ketu, is a kind of pain. You just sense that, pain, the spring action with this, when the spring is completely suppressed or, completely down. Just imagine the kind of pressure, the kind of pain, the kind of, energy pumping happening there. The energy pumping with continuous quest for knowledge, right? The process itself it's a kind of painful to imagine, but it's giving loads of courage, right? And it's giving loads and loads of initiativeness. It's very, very active, right? It's very, very active, very, very active. So with this particular pada, some unique and greatest things that you can ever see in the world can happen with that energy. This much of, the initiative energy, the unique energy, you cannot observe anywhere. Ashwini first pada is a kind of, there is no uniqueness other than Ashwini first pada. There's no better uniqueness than Ashwini first pada. But at the same time, the kind of pain involved here, just imagine the birth process, right? That's similar to that. Now we will try to understand the second pada of Ashwini Nakshatra. So it varies from 3 degree 20 minutes to 6 degree 40 minutes of age, and whichever planet is present here, the Navamsha chart, you can see it in the Taurus. So here Venus energy is coming into the picture. So the kind of, whenever Venus is coming into the picture, the material pursuits, right, astrology, bliss, happiness, relationships, all come into the picture. So the Taurus Navamsha, Venus ruled by Venus. So Mars, Ketu, Venus. More practical and resourcefulness is present because Venus is very much related to resources. And also a grace is present here. A kind of indulgence is present here. So material manifestation is the main idea of this particular pada. So whatever thoughts and ideas of this particular pada, they are always about material pursuits, material manifestation, because of that Venusian energy. So the Mars K2 energy, the too much pumping of energy, is very much into running after the material manifestation, materialistic things. So that is about the second pada. What about the third pada? Third pada is from 6 degree 40 minutes to 10 degrees of Aries. So whichever planet is present here in the Navamsha chart, you can see it in the Gemini. So that is nothing but so the third pada is mainly related to Gemini energy. That's Mercurial energy is coming into the picture. The communication is the main motive. Communication, traveling. So Ashwini third pada is very much related to traveling, right? Transportation. And as communication is coming into the picture, the humorous angle of this particular nakshatra, the communicative aspect of this nakshatra is evoked, is invoked, right? So, and also this pada gives very quick comprehension and can understand, any kind of mental activity. So Gemini is mainly related to this particular quick comprehension abilities, right? Because Gemini has this communication skills, business mindedness, as Mercury is also coming into the picture. More business mindedness you can observe here. Mars Ketu energies, they try to pump up in the business activities, communication activities, quick comprehension activities, the humorous angles and communication abilities, right? Understanding the mental activity. So, and Gemini is a Aries sign. The more airiness is added and mercurial energy is added. So, kind of quickness, swiftness is associated with Ashwini third pada. So that is about Ashwini third pada. And if you see the Ashwini fourth pada, it varies from 10 degree of Aries to 13.20 degree of Aries. And in the Cancer Navamsha, so moon is coming into the picture. So Mars, Ketu, moon, this whole combination, Ketu, moon, the emotional things and also healing. So when Cancer is invoked, when Cancer is actually activated, then you can clearly understand there's a kind of emotional side, the watery emotional, that kind of emotional pain is actually invoked here. So healing part, Cancer is also related to motherliness, healingness, right? Understanding the, understanding others' problems, others' needs. So there's a kind of, here you talk about the healing, consciousness, consciousness about others' needs, right? Emotional things, very much manifested here. The energy pumping is always here into the emotional angle, emotional things, emotional needs. So emotion the moment emotion is coming into the picture, the emotional people, they can understand, they can observe others very clearly, and they try to, if it is very much unbalanced or it has a lot of malefic energy, let us say Ashwini 4, just imagine how they can play with the emotional side of others, right? Emotional blackmail, emotional understanding others' emotions and thereby playing with it, right? So Cancer is always about emotions. Some people try to understand others' emotions and they try to fulfill the desires of others emotionally. So that is also present here. But if a malefic planet is present in Ashwini 4, that is going to be very, very pathetic, right? Pathetic for others and for them also thereby. because when you play with others, you will also be in trouble generally. So this is the energy you can talk about, Ashwini. We'll try to talk more about Ashwini in our upcoming videos. Thanks for watching this video.